you general, money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule. 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too unserious. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning. Jambo, hola, hotep, what's up, and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. The show is called First Things First, and my very first thing today and every day is giving thanks to God, giving praises and asking for those blessings, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders. And let's go. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about. The way we do the show on a Wealth Building Wednesday, hour one, we look local, what's going on the left coast side of town, which happens to be very well connected to all 50 states. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And hour three, we do a deep dive on a hot topic with a person of interest. Also, in the top of hour two, we always shine the spotlight on a Black-owned business, BIPOC-owned, or socially innovative enterprise. And today is no exception. That's Wealth Building Wednesday. In the final hour of the show, we'll be talking with Sam Lewis, who is over the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. Find out what is going on in today's environment with what appears to be the reemergence of the prison industrial complex under the current administration. Find out about the work they are doing and what we can do to help. Joining me right now, though, she's a professor. She's a political scientist. She's also a professor at Cal State LA, the leader of Black Lives Matter Grassroots director, technically, lead organizer for BLMLA, and my colleague as a radio host of This Is Not a Drill, Saturday mornings, 8 to 10, right here on KBLA Talk 1580. Dr. Melina Abdullah, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Dominique. Glad to be with you this morning.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. There's a ton of stuff to cover, so I'm going to be talking fast, but not too fast. I don't want to give folks a headache. In the midst of all of the 12 kinds of crazy, or maybe it's, more than that, coming out of Washington, I think it's important to focus on victories, things we can actually do to stay out of sort of paralysis by bombardment. And one of the things I want to make sure we get to right away is the fact you're doing a community safety workshop. What does that mean? What is it all about? I mean, why does the community need a safety workshop?
Sure. So I think for lots of reasons, but when we think about what's happening in this world, and I don't want to get too far away, but I can't, it's almost like I can't talk about this moment and what's happening in the world without invoking Octavia Butler, right? And so in my class, we're reading Parable of the Talents, which is the second in the series. People are familiar with Parable of the Sower. Parable of the Talents really illustrates the world that we're living in, even though it was written in 1996, I believe. It's about this moment, and this political moment, if we think about everything that's coming out of D.C., but also what we see happening on the ground in Los Angeles and cities throughout this country, is the unleashing of violent fascism, violent white supremacy. And what we know is that police have never kept Black people safe, that we keep ourselves safe. So doubling down on that, I think we can take what happened in Lincoln Heights, Ohio, outside of Cincinnati, as inspiration, right? What we have to do is make sure that we build community safety networks, community safety teams, and we're conscious of the fact that violent white supremacists feel like they have free reign to just invoke terror on our communities. So what do we do to make sure that we look out for ourselves, look out for our neighbors? And one of the best organizers in the country, Baba Waktani Tahimba, who people might know as one of the co-founders of the Malcolm X Grassroots movement, who's been doing work since the Black Power era, who is a native of Compton, will be here with us, and he's going to be leading a community safety workshop on Sunday at the Center for Black Power, beginning at 4 p.m. And so we'll talk about different concepts, knowing your neighbors at the top of the list, right? So write that one down, even if you don't plan to come on Sunday.
Right, and just to be
know your neighbors.
And just to be clear,
Yeah.
for folks who aren't tracking it, what you're talking about is a Nazi march that happened, a neo-Nazi march that happened in Cincinnati, in Evandale, Ohio, I should say, and where the black community turned those folks back, even though it seemed from the video that I saw that the police were protecting the people who practiced the delusion of white supremacy. The neighborhood was just not having it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And they sent those white supremacists who were waving Nazi flags, sent them packing, like the videos that you see. They're like hauling tail into jumping into the back of a U-Haul, like getting their flag snatched in the process. And, you know, the black community is saying, not here, not here. And so will we be able to do that if and when they come to Crenshaw, if and when they come to Compton, Watts? Remember, a few years ago, it was without Donald Trump in office. I don't believe he was in office when they tried to say they were coming to Maxine Waters' office.
Yeah.
And community had to come out and say, no, not here. And they didn't come.
Right.
But we have to be willing to protect ourselves. And so that's what this workshop is about. Sunday, 4 to 6 at 3423 West 43rd Place, BLMLA Center for Black Power. It's free. There's going to be things to protect yourself with, little goodies to give away, and lots of knowledge dropped by Baba Watani and other safety leads. Again, that's Sunday, 4 to 6.
So it's free?
It's absolutely free. And if you stay, you get to come to the Black Lives Matter Los Angeles monthly organizing meeting that starts at 7. So right after the safety workshop is our organizing meeting, and always at the top of that meeting, we got free, healthy, hot dinner for you. We got a grocery bag. Groceries is high. Boy, I just left the grocery store. We got a grocery bag for you to take home. So we're making sure that that's also part of community safety. You know, when we have what we need, then our communities are safer. So we help to model that. We try to model that as much as we can.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, when you talk about we keep us safe, now we're taking it beyond a slogan and bringing it into what do we do about it? And of course, that's BLMLA. So that would be BLMLA on all socials, right?
BLMLA on X and BLM Los Angeles on Instagram. And then we also have a website, blmla.org.
All right, we do have a lot to talk about. When we come forward, I want to discuss the case of Sonya Massey. Maybe people have forgotten about it. It was a long time ago that her life was stolen, but now we have some news on that particular case, that family, that woman who was killed. We will bring you that update, and we got more. There's so much going on right now locally, victories, things to get involved with, stuff to do. No time to be sitting around crying and wallowing, although you're allowed to do that too. But can you cry, wallow, and work at the same time? Let's see if we can do that. KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Febreze.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust Febreze car vent clips, featuring 3 distinct intensity settings, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing. Which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
I have a dream today.
The road to freedom wasn't paved with just big moments. It was built day to day, step by step, voice by voice. This February, experience Black History Month through the stories that shape Los Angeles and beyond. KBLA Talk 1580, where Black history lives.
Taxes was taxing. Now taxes is relaxing when you file for free.
I can file for free? TurboTax Free Edition. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free. I can file for free.
Now this is taxes. File for free with TurboTax Free Edition and get your maximum refund. No schedules except for earned income tax credit, child tax credit, and student loan interest. See if you qualify at turbotax.com/free.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Right now, we're back to me. We're also back to you, 800-920-1580 if you want to tap in. Also, there's always a robust conversation going on YouTube. We're at KBLA 1580. That's our YouTube channel, and that's where we stream this show every single day. Grand rising, y'all. Professor Golden says, good rising. I'll take it. Thank you. Good morning, KBLA, from Jerry Anderson, who's also in the chat there. Okay, so Dr. Abdullah, maybe it hasn't been that long. It seems like 100 years because so much crazy stuff has happened. I'm looking back. It's only been 6 months since Sonya Massey was killed by sheriff's deputies in her own home after calling about a prowler. And this is, you may remember, KBLA delegation, the woman who said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." She called on the Lord, and she was met with a hail of bullets. Where are we with this case today, Dr. Abdullah?
Right. So Sonya Massey was one that sparked national outrage. Here's this Black mother who was struggling and, like many of us, has been trained to call 911 for help. She thought there was a prowler outside her home, calls 911. These white cops come into her home and, threaten her immediately. They immediately threaten her. And the one who winds up pulling the trigger actually says he's going to shoot her in the effing head, and does, and kills her, and then stops his partner from administering CPR by saying, it's a headshot, she's done, right? And so we were all outraged. We saw it because it was on video. We saw the video. Black Lives Matter chapters across the country did memorials for Sonya Massey in Los Angeles. We had a massive memorial in Africatown, Lamert Park, where almost 1,000 people showed up and mourned the death of Sonya Massey. What we saw because of the national outrage is the firing of the officer who pulled the trigger. So his name was Sean Grayson. He was fired. And what we know, though, is that police are almost never criminally prosecuted. So we have not seen Sean Grayson go to prison for the killing of Sonya Massey. What we do see is the civil track kind of gain more traction than the criminal track. In fact, when we talk about cops being prosecuted for killings, that happens in fewer than 3% of cases. But what we see is civil justice sometimes being meted out. And so Sonya Massey's family came to a settlement with the local sheriff's department where her family will be receiving a $10 million settlement, which in no way brings back the life of this mother of two, but it is some semblance of justice in her name.
I feel like in this environment that we're faced with right now under the new MAGA Republican administration, new old Confederate MAGA team, it's good that they got the settlement right now. I know that the Justice Department under Trump is dismantling consent decrees and not moving forward with reform actions against police departments. What I understand is some that are in motion already have been left to the discretion of whoever the judge is that's over it. But what's your outlook on these kinds of actions? I know you're an abolitionist and reform is not what you're seeking, but in some cases, the changes that have come out of these consent decrees or the pressure that's been put on police departments by the people and then acted on by the Justice Department has created changes in policy that do save lives.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we were, because we have to remember that our ideas are always evolving. And
right.
So I'm an abolitionist. I don't believe in jails or prisons. However, working with families of those who were killed by police, we understand that when police kill somebody, and the families helped us to understand this more deeply, the first ones who should be sent to prison as long as we have them are police who kill our people. So we do want criminal charges. We do want those police to be prosecuted as long as there are police who have, again, carte blanche to kill folks. And so the Trump administration has been horrific, but we have to also remember that there's been a setup that last year, 2024, was the year with the most police killings in the history of record keeping. So about 1,300 people killed by police, and that's the recorded deaths. So most of those are shooting deaths. But if we think about like the murders of people like Keenan Anderson, who was tased to death, or the killing of Waukesha Wilson, who died inside a prison, or the killing of Glenn Foster Jr., those are not included in those numbers generally. So we're talking about surges and murders of people being killed by police. And that's the fault not just of a Trump administration. Donald Trump says he wants complete immunity for police. So there would be no criminal prosecutions for police if Trump has his way. But we also have to remember that people like the district attorney in Los Angeles County, Nathan Hochman, has made it really, really difficult for police who've been demonstrated themselves to be murderers to be actually criminally prosecuted. And so cases that were moving under Gascon, like the murder of Christopher DeAndre Mitchell in Torrance, are being pulled back with the special prosecutor, Bill Middleton, being pulled off of the case here in Los Angeles. So it's not just Trump. It is Trump, but it's also the Democratic Party that hasn't been willing to push forward, accountability for police, and it's local. So these DAs are really, really important, and who's in the DA's office is really important. The last fact that I'll give you is that when we do see criminal charges, the vast majority of the charges are by DAs of color. So
Well,
when,
yeah, and I was going to add, just for clarity, Nathan Hochman is not a Democrat. I mean, he claims that he's independent, but his rhetoric is clearly MAGA.
Well, he was a Republican until he wanted to win that seat, and then he became independent. So I'm not saying that that Nathan Hochman is a Democrat, but I'm saying that nationally we didn't see the Democratic Party being willing to
I understood that. I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure people listening were clear. I understood your point.
Yeah.
And in that, while we're on that tract, Jerry Anderson in the YouTube chat says, I'd like to hear her thoughts on the larger transformation of our national identity.
Well, that's a big question.
It is.
I don't know how much. I think that we are facing a time, and I was speaking with students at Sierra College on Monday, and we're facing a time where we are kind of grappling with that. Like, we are one of the tools of fascism, and we absolutely have a fascist in the presidency, right? This is a fascist who surrounds himself by other fascists, right? When we have a fascist in the White House, one of the number one pages, the first page in the playbook, is to assault the people so rapidly with such rapid fire that I don't know if we have an answer for what our national identity is. I don't know if we have an answer for where we are. Like, there's this frenzy where we're trying to simply find our footing. And I'm saying that also recognizing that I don't believe that this country has ever had a unified national identity. I think that's one of the messages that Kendrick Lamar was trying to hit home during the halftime show, right? That there's never been a unified national identity. But especially now, we are trying to figure out who we are, what we believe, and how to push that forward. With,
I mean, but that we that you're talking
attack.
about is the America in general. Because for me, I feel like a lot of times when over the course of, my decades on the mic, I feel like once we become clear how serious the attacks and assaults on us are, we as Black people, I just don't feel like we're confused about our national identity. I think America is having a problem. And Jerry Anderson follows up with how do we fare in a post-democracy America? I think it's a fair question. But I feel like, one of the tiny silver linings of this BS is that we tend to become very clear about our national identity as Black folks. I don't know how deluded we were in the first place. I mean, if you look at the anti-Trump vote among Black people, men and women, it's overwhelming. But I don't know. How do you see that?
No, I think that's right. I think that Black people have understood that we're, this is an America that's never loved us. And, having an African-American identity, I think, is a separate question. And I think that we've understood that, the importance of that.
Yeah, it's and we have a lot of things to get through that I want to talk about, but one of them, Jerry kind of heads into that, which is the political science hat that you wear so well. We only have 2 minutes till news, traffic, and sports. The mainstream media is not acknowledging fascism, but it's clear that's where we're heading. They'll say authoritarianism. They're still tiptoeing around. But when J.D. Vance said we are not obliged to basically obey the courts, that's exactly what what Jerry Anderson is talking about. That means you're deciding that you don't want to function within the system that we have had in place since this country was founded.
Well, it's undisputable. It's indisputable that we live under fascism, that Trump is a fascist. The political science definition of fascism is right-wing authoritarianism. So even when they're using the term authoritarianism, it is fascism, right? But the form of the form of fascism is, a dictatorship. And that's what we're looking at a fascist dictator that's taken office.
I mean, just 40 seconds here, but Trump's new faith director, which is a created, made-up position, has said that Black Lives Matter is the Antichrist. What does that tell you about who she worships?
Well, it tells us that they're the Antichrist, right?
Pretty much.
The devil has taken the White House. Absolutely.
You know, it's funny. I was talking with someone yesterday who said they're absolutely convinced that Trump has made a deal with the devil because there's just no way he can do all the things he's doing. They shut down the Consumer Protection Bureau and poor people are still supporting him. So your bank fees are coming back, your overdraft fees are coming back, but still you support a billionaire. She's convinced he's made a deal with the devil. We'll continue our conversation with Dr. Melina Abdullah and you when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Disney is updating content warnings for old movies like Dumbo and Peter Pan to note they may contain stereotypes or negative depictions. This change aligns with Disney's evolving DEI policies amid President Trump's criticism of DEI in government. Wall Street opens after a mixed close Tuesday. Fed Chair Jerome Powell signaled no rush to ease monetary policy, noting strong economy but high inflation. Several top FEMA officials are being fired amid the Trump administration's sweeping cuts across the federal government. 4 FEMA employees, including the agency's chief financial officer, were fired this week due to their roles in dispensing federal funds to migrant housing in New York City. And the musical Atlantis, based on Pharrell Williams' childhood, has been scrapped. Williams said the project was shelved during editing. It was to star Missy Elliott, Halle Berry, Janelle Monáe, and Quinta Brunson. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers are back in action tonight. The Lakers are in Utah with a 6-game winning streak. The Clippers are at home against Memphis at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Lakers and Clippers made roster moves that could have a significant impact on their season. The Lakers signed center Alex Len, a 12-year veteran, to back up Jackson Hayes. Len has been with 5 teams. Replacing the production of Anthony Davis is going to be a challenge for the Lakers. The Clippers signed 6'9" point guard Ben Simmons. Simmons was the overall #1 pick in the 2016 NBA draft, but he's been a major disappointment the past 3 years. The Clippers are gambling that Simmons will turn his career around here in LA. The Dodgers open their spring training camp today in Phoenix. The Dodgers are trying to become the first team to win back-to-back World Series championships since the Yankees did it in 2000. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I feel so alone. I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't want to inside.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Someone had a birthday.
Yep, 50. Can't believe it.
50 years of wisdom.
Great segue. We have health news, a CDC update.
Pneumococcal vaccination is now recommended for adults 50 or older. Says here, we're over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50.
I don't love those odds.
Same. Look what I found. Pfizer's Prevnar 20 is proven to help protect adults against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease in just 1 dose, and millions have already gotten it.
Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you have a severe allergy to its ingredients. A weakened immune system may lower your response. Common side effects include injection site pain and swelling, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138. Visit Prevnar20.com or talk to your doctor or pharmacist.
I'm on Prevnar20.com now, scheduling my appointment.
Good idea. And happy 50th.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Melina Abdullah is my guest. She's a professor at Cal State LA, a mom, and the lead organizer for Black Lives Matter LA, the director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is, as y'all know, actually Black Lives Matter. Share the links, the things. We know that the Global Network Foundation, the imposter thief folks, have stolen the BLK Lives Matter platform. So if they want to get information about the actual Black Lives Matter that's really doing this work right now, they should go where?
BLM Grassroots on all social media, blmgrassroots.org, BLM Grassroots on all social media. So that is the real work of 39 chapters on the ground and throughout this country who we say we stand on front lines, not just red carpets as the thieves are, liking to go to the special things, right? We stand with the families and we don't go inside the Super Bowl. We protest outside the Super Bowl. So those are the kinds of things we do.
I mean, it's really easy to tell if you go look at their socials now. It looks like a celebrity page instead of the actual Black Lives Matter. And to that point, they've stolen tens of millions of dollars that the people donated to the actual work. And now Black Lives Matter Grassroots is basically fending for itself with this much smaller following on socials since you guys have been locked out of those platforms. So if people have a dime, a dollar, or $1 million to donate, it would be really helpful right now, right?
Absolutely. And we know that all of the money that we raise goes to actual organizing work, not to sending ourselves to vacations in Jamaica and Martha's Vineyard, right? That it goes to frontline organizing. So during the Super Bowl, we were in New Orleans with the family of Glenn Foster Jr., who started their own chapter in New Orleans in Glenn Foster Jr.'s name. He was a football player, the New Orleans Saint, who was killed in custody in Alabama, but played for the New Orleans Saints and lived in New Orleans. So we do, every donation supports things like that. Every donation supports the recovery work that we're doing in Altadena with the fire victims. Every donation does frontline work, and we're really appreciative of the way community is catching on. It's taken a while, but there was a recent TikToker, just a regular person who I'm understanding didn't have a huge following, but put up a video. I'm not very good on TikTok, but someone shared some of it with me, and just doing things like that increased our following by like 6,000 or 7,000 people, which is a lot for us because we were rebuilding from scratch. They took all of our social media platforms. So we only had about 17,000, 20,000 followers, and now we're up to 34,000 followers just because this woman said, well, what do I have? I have my own TikTok, and I'm going to say this on my own TikTok. And that was really, really helpful. So we want to remind ourselves of who we are. We're fueled by people power, and people includes all of us. So whatever you can do, follow BLM Grassroots, but also help us spread the word.
Artist Moore says, who started BLK Lives Matter? Of course, it was the real Black Lives Matter that started it, but then it was stolen by these consultants who also took the money. We've talked about this a lot, Artist Moore, on this station. You can go back and listen to some conversations with myself and Dr. Melina Abdullah. My podcasts are free. They're available wherever you get your podcasts. They're also on YouTube. But recently you did a great conversation with Amanda Seales that folks can also, to get caught up on that whole story, they can also tap into that, right?
That's right. And that's actually where this person on TikTok got her information, was Amanda Seales' show. It's episode 12, I believe, of the Amanda Seales show, but I'll put it out on my socials if people want to take a listen. But it was over an hour-long conversation about what actually happened and why BLK Lives Matter posted 5 times about the Grammys, but nothing about Trayvon Martin during his Memorial weekend. They do this because they're not plugged in with the work. And we are, and we need.
Not just not plugged in with the work, they don't do the work. Like, that's the crazy thing. They don't do, and they never have done the work. Anyway, artists, I would recommend those things because I want to try to cover a few other conversations that are going on. Speaking of Super Bowl, everyone's posting Super Bowl. You mentioned Glenn Foster Jr. We talked with his mom the week prior to. How was the Twitter storm? How was the protest? How was the response of the people? I know we had some folks tweeting that are part of our KBLA delegation.
Right, and you posted, and thank you for doing that, Sister Dominique. So Glenn Foster Jr., as your listeners know, because you spoke with his mom, your listeners know Glenn Foster Jr. was a former NFL player, played for the New Orleans Saints, who was on a drive to a business meeting and pulled over for a minor traffic incident in Pickens County, Alabama. He was arrested, held, and then ultimately killed inside, tortured inside an Alabama jail. And nothing has happened. There has been no criminal charges. And everything was done very secretively, right? So the medical reports were not released. The video was not released. And so we say during the Super Bowl in his city, in New Orleans, we have to say what happened to Glenn Foster Jr., and his NFL family should help us in lifting that. There were about 30 of us outside of on Poydras, right? So right as folks are walking towards the Superdome, we were flyering, and that included Glenn's 4 daughters were there, his parents were there, his sister was there, his wife. And it was interesting that we got the response that we got, that there were lots of folks who said, yes, I've heard the story, and they'll take the flyer. But there were others who said, I'm not trying to hear that, and wouldn't even take the flyer from his 7-year-old daughter's hand. And that was really, really upsetting and disturbing. But I think that we always have to, be encouraged where there is encouragement. There was this white man I was trying to hand the flyer to who I was sure wasn't going to take the flyer. He looked like he was walking quickly towards the Superdome. And when I said Glenn Foster's name, he turned around and he said, I remember that story. And he said, it's terrible what happened to him. And then he watched as all these other folks were, kind of parading past us and wearing their Mardi Gras beads and not wanting to stop and talk, or even just take a flyer. And he said, people are terrible. Remind them of their better self. Let's remind them of their better selves. And I'm going to say his name, Glenn Foster Jr. And so we have to remember that that is one person who's now on this. He's going to lift the name of Glenn Foster Jr. We're also appreciative that on social media, celebrities like Megan Good posted about him. Kim Whitley posted about him. Comedian Amar Rahman posted about him. Matt McGorry posted about him. And so we're getting some traction, and we're going to push forward, especially as the civil trial moves forward this year.
Mm. Well, I know that the Glenn Foster Jr.'s mom was very very effective in just telling his story, and a lot of people received her words and understood the assignment. So I'm happy for that, and it's just another, reminder of the importance of the work that you guys are doing. And I think actually super duper underlines the increasing urgency of that work once again with what we're looking at on the national and international scene. As once again, this may be your political science hat and your Black Lives Matter hat, but when we come forward, I would love to get your reaction to now, Trump saying they're going to basically just take Gaza, turn it into Riviera, sort of playground for the rich, displace Palestinians. And now Netanyahu goes back to Israel and is giving Hamas an ultimatum and trying to bypass the second phase of this ceasefire that they had already agreed to. But I guess Trump has given them permission to give it all the middle finger. I know we could spend the whole rest of the show on that. There's a few other things I want to cover, but I at least want to get your reaction, because I know that Palestine has been one of the issues that Black Lives Matter has addressed for many, many years. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance, but Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help.
Find a mentor today at score.org.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Melina Abdullah is my guest. Before you answer the question I asked, let me restate that the Community Safety Workshop is Sunday from 4 to 6 at Black Lives Matter's Center for Black Power in Leimert Park at 3423 West 43rd Place. It's right next to the Leimert Park Metro train stop, and it is absolutely free. Learn how to keep ourselves and each other safe in this time when the people who have the delusion of white supremacy are feeling emboldened to attack. I also want to highlight the fact that it is people's budget time once again, where we can actually make our own opinions known about how we think the city should be spending our money. Dr.
Right.
Abdul,
and so we want everybody to tap in with that. So if you think we should not be spending 50% of the city's general fund on police and instead make sure everybody is housed, then we need you to fill out that survey at peoplesbudget.com, peoplesbudgetla.com, peoplesbudgetla.com. And this is one of the things that we've been doing every year is really asking folks, where do you want your tax dollars to go? Do you want them to go to quality after-school programs? Do you want them to go to housing? Do you want them to go to mental resources? Do you want it to go to, if we see what's happening with the spending for the Olympics that are coming, do you think that that's where your dollars should go, or do you think it should go somewhere else? So again, that's peoplesbudgetla.com. And so we're pushing that survey. We're encouraging folks to come out on Sunday. We'll, of course, have flyers so you can fill out the survey there. Survey takes about 10 minutes to complete because we're asking lots of questions about what you want. And we share that back every year. We shared that back with both City Council and with the mayor herself.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to take. I've taken it several times, and I actually started
not in the same year, several times.
No, once a year. You can only take it once a year. Yeah. It's like voting. You do it once per election. But it's interesting too. I mean, it's helpful because now it arms you and the other groups that are involved with data that they can use to influence elected officials. But for me, it's also interesting because it's like a self-check, what are my priorities? Right. Why do I care about this and not that? And when you start having to compare, do I want to spend more on housing security or child and youth development, or should we keep pumping all this money into policing? It just seems much more concrete than just having a discussion about how cops, and law enforcement sucks up such a big part of our budget. Then when you look at the budget pie and you see that youth development is like a sliver of 1%, it kind of puts things in perspective.
Right, and this is a real survey carried out by real scholars. So Dr. David Turner of UCLA and Dr. Tabitha Jones-Jolivet are our resident scholars who do the survey and analyze the data. And what we find almost every year so far, we found is that people want to spend, their biggest spending priorities are housing and mental health resources. And where they want to cut is police, prosecutions, and parking enforcement, the 3 Ps, right? And we'll see what they say for this upcoming budget. But I think Kenneth Mejia, our city controller, is also helping to reveal what's important to Angelenos and encouraging Angelenos to say what's important for themselves. And so the survey is one of the ways that you do that. Again, peoplesbudgetla.com.
I mean, and he does that in a data-driven way. Mejia, whether you love him or you don't, he is data-driven, evidence-based. He gonna crunch the numbers. Whether you like him or not, those are the numbers, and that's one of the things I really admire about him. When you can, what is it Beyonce said? I talk like that because I can back it up.
That's right.
So, I mean, from a political scientist perspective, when you look at the process that has unfolded since the MAGA new Confederates have taken over the White House again under the co-leadership of Trump and Musk, and how that's already playing out in Gaza. I mean, it's kind of overwhelming. I don't want to be overwhelmed by it. I want to look at it in terms of what is normal or what is considered to be the international standard, and as opposed to what is actually happening.
Right. Well, what they're doing is absolutely disgusting. So when we talked about the Trump administration as a fascist regime, as a fascist dictatorship, we also have to remember what's driving both Musk and Trump, who are really functioning as co-presidents at this point, right, is capitalism, predatory global capitalism. So what's been said about Gaza, what's been said about Palestine is they intend to completely level Palestine so that they can develop it for the use of, wealthy white folks, right? Trump said he intends to make it a Riviera, that it's beachfront property. And that's at the cost, at the expense of hundreds of thousands of brown lives, hundreds of thousands of Palestinian lives, more than half of them being children. And so this ceasefire, which is a really, really fragile ceasefire, is quickly crumbling because the intent is for them to level it. That's their intent. Netanyahu and Trump and Musk are all in cahoots to, again, develop this for the sake of profit. Here's what I want to get to, though, is that we can resist, that it's still Black History Month, right? And Henry Highland Garnett teaches us, let our motto be resistance. Resistance, resistance, resistance. No oppressed people have ever secured their liberty without resistance, is what Henry Highland Garnett says. And when we think about what the brother at the Super Bowl did, right, coming out onto the field with a Palestinian flag and a Sudanese flag and raising the still genocide that's happening in Palestine, raising what's happening in Sudan. He's reminding all of us, I'm a practicing Muslim, and he says one of the teachings that, we have to resist with our hands. We have to, when we can't resist with our hands, we resist with our mouths. When we can't resist with our mouths, we resist with our hearts, with prayer. And really, we do all three of these things when we can. And so I think we're reminded that under a Trump regime, under the hand of the devil, we can't just submit to evil. We have to fight. And when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. And so even though Trump is, ramping up genocide for the clear profiting of predatory capitalists, the people can win if we're willing to fight.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't think that it's just going to be, when you talk about Gaza or whatever, it's not just going to be the United States. I mean, you can't just take someone's country. That's not, I guess you can if you want to fight a war over it, but you can't just say, oh, he said Israel's giving that to me. So, but it's not theirs to give. That's like somebody coming to your house and saying, I'm going to give it to Joe Blow. That's not theirs to give. It's the thing that we were talking about yesterday, though, Dr. Abdullah, is that everything they're doing, a lot of the things they're doing, shutting down the Consumer Financial Protection Agency, shutting down the Department of Education, trying to give away, take Gaza and Greenland, they're illegal, but who's going to stop them?
Well, the people can stop them. Part of the thing, one of the things I keep thinking about with fascism, and, hopefully people see the direct parallels between Hitler and Trump, right, is that Hitler and the Nazis, Hitler would be nothing without the Nazis, right? Who is backing Trump? You see what I'm saying? Are we going to be complicit in Nazism? Are we going to be complicit with evil? Are we going to say we fight evil by the only force that can fight the devil is God. Are we going to be people of God? And I think that's what we're called into, is to be the people of God, to be the people of the people who say that we're not going to carry it out, right? We're not going to carry out these evil plans.
Yeah. Dr. Melina Abdullah, thank you, as always, for the great work that you're doing, for your courage in times when your organization and your person are being directly attacked, and for never blacking down, as we say.
Thank you so much for having me, Sister Dominique. We hope to see everybody on Sunday at the Center for Black Power.
Oh, yeah. Plus today you can go protest downtown, right?
Absolutely. Every Wednesday, right? 4 p.m., 1313 West 8th. And all of that's posted on our social media, BLM Los Angeles on Instagram.
BLM Los Angeles and then BLM Grassroots. You can follow. Let's build that stuff back up. Dr. Abdullah, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Wealth Building Wednesday next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Disney is updating content warnings for old movies like Dumbo and Peter Pan to note they may contain stereotypes or negative depictions. This change aligns with Disney's evolving DEI policies amid President Trump's criticism of DEI in government. Wall Street opens after a mixed close Tuesday. Fed Chair Jerome Powell signaled no rush to ease monetary policy, noting strong economy but high inflation. Several top FEMA officials are being fired amid the Trump administration's sweeping cuts across the federal government. 4 FEMA